Krishna 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 Hare Krishna 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 Krishna
Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Namaham Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gradhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Kindly everyone may repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Sri Surabhyaya Namaha.
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 Mukam karoti vasaram pangum langayate girim yatkripatamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam yatkripatamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome to our ongoing discussions on the topic of Varnashrama Dharma, specifically on the topic of Daiva Varnashrama Dharma. And before reading from the book speaking about Varnashrama, just a few small announcements. In the context of the Varnashram College online, we are happy to inform the devotees that we already, by Krishna's arrangement and mercy, have received 15 applications from devotees. 15 devotees from different countries, actually from 5 countries. From Canada, from Germany, from Malaysia, Indonesia, and India, have registered online to become teachers. And as we announced briefly yesterday, we will be having a soft opening of the website on the 8th of May, which is a Friday, which is actually exactly 1 week before the official inauguration of the Varnashrama College online. So please be on the lookout for more information, more publicity. We hope to come out with a nice poster on this. At present, we're having limited circulation of this information. We plan to expand that to various social media within the next few days. But a word of mouth is a very big preaching tool. Kindly share this with your friends, whoever is hearing this. Nowadays, we have, practically speaking, instant global communication. So this project is a global project, and this project will give an opportunity for devotees from all over the world, for people in general as well, who are interested, who would like to take up different subject matters on topics related to the ancient Vedic culture, which is not only of a spiritual nature, but also deals with many very intricate and practical material subject matters. So from these 15 devotees who have registered, most of them are both qualified and certified teachers. We have some 25 subjects being lined up, and more will be coming. We are aiming actually to get at least 100 teachers from different countries, and as the project will evolve, we also plan to make this available in different languages as well. These things are all possible through modern technology. We can use that technology for the purpose of Krishna consciousness, and therefore anyone who is hearing, who is interested to be part of this initiative, please contact us. You can visit our website at www.iskonvarnasrama.com. We will have a special section for the ladies. There will be special courses that will be given to the ladies, and we are having a policy which is Vedic policy, whereby subject matters will be taught to men by the men, and subject matters will be taught to the ladies by the ladies. We have a couple, Gorgopal Prabhu and his wife, Vrindavan Leela Devidasi, who have accepted to monitor, organize the ladies section. We will, everything takes some time. So there's many things that are in the making, still unfolding. Kindly be a little bit patient with us. We've already contacted some of our Matajis who can be teaching to other Matajis. So we will have more information on this very soon. So we'd like to immediately go to some reading from the book speaking about Varnasrama. And once again, this book is available as a complimentary book, as a donation actually from the ISKCON Daiva Varnasrama Ministry here in India. And every single temple will no longer have any reason to say, I don't have the book, because it's being offered to you at no cost. One book per temple. Please contact our office in Sridham Mayapur. You can write to our devotee, Vishnurata Prabhu, at secretariat at iskonvarnasrama.com. That is secretariat at iskonvarnasrama in one word, .com. This book is so inspiring because the main reason is that it is 100% Srila Prabhupada's own words and realizations and explanations about the need and the importance and the urgency as well. That is like 50 years ago to introduce these basic concepts of Varnasrama lifestyle, which is essentially agrarian lifestyle, as we are hearing through these pages as we read here every day. So today we are in Mayapur. This is from some conversation in Mayapur in March of 1976. Actually, March of 1976, that is the month I arrived in Mayapur. First visit to Srila Mayapur on the 10th of March, a few days before Gaur Purnima. So, Srila Prabhupada, this is chapter 23, entitled Good Government Means Good Training. No good training, no good government. That applies not only in government, in any organization, in any temple as well. If one is not nicely, properly trained as a temple president or any other responsibility or post, then things will not go properly. And some of the themes presented here: work is determined by natural qualities. Another theme: testing to determine suitable education. Testing. That is actually one of 4 ways in which Varna is meant to be established or determined. And by determining, understanding one's dharma, accordingly one's education is also established. Another theme: agriculture neglected in modern society. So true. Agriculture is actually meant to be the main activity in any society. Another theme: training leaders to promote citizens' welfare. Yes. Another: different classes, but common cause. And then the last theme here: everything depends on training. And that is why Srila Prabhupada would say, first is character. First is character training. That is actually the beginning years in Gurukula. Those few beginning years focus primarily on training, character training. So this conversation was an interview between Srila Prabhupada and our own Bhakti Godhead devotees or representative. And this was on the occasion of the American bicentennial celebration in March of 1976 in Sri Mayapur. So this is the devotee BTG asking or speaking. The founders of America said that another natural right is a right to liberty or freedom. Freedom in the sense that the government doesn't have the right to tell you what kind of job you have to do. Proper answer is, if the government is not perfect, it should not be allowed to tell people what to do. But if the government is perfect, then it can do. Next, the third natural right they mentioned was that every human being has a right to pursue happiness. Prabhupada. Yes, but your standard of happiness may be different from my standard. You may like to eat meat, I hate it. How can your standard of happiness be equal to mine? And then from BTG, so should everyone be free to try to achieve whatever standard of happiness he wants? Srila Prabhupada answers, no. The standard of happiness should be prescribed according to the qualities of the person. You must divide the whole society into 4 groups. again, and again. Srila Prabhupada, he's speaking to an American. And whenever he would travel and give lectures in America, he would repeat the same instructions. The whole of society needs to be divided into 4 groups. Those with Brahmana qualities, those with Kshatriya qualities, those with Vaishya qualities, and those with Shudra qualities. So Srila Prabhupada is not telling that Shudras have no qualities, that Shudras are rejected. That is the beauty of the Varnasrama system. To be part of that system, even from the beginning level of Shudra, one must acquire qualities, very important qualities. For Shudra, 9 qualities are actually there. One of them being Satyam, truthfulness. A good servant means one who is truthful, honest. And second quality of a good servant, Shudra, cleanliness. Yes. Everyone should have good facility to work according to his natural qualities. You cannot engage a bull in the business of a horse, nor can you engage a horse in the business of a bull. Today, practically everyone is getting a college education. But what is taught at these colleges? Mostly technical knowledge, which is Shudra education. Real higher education means learning Vedic wisdom. This is meant for the Brahmanas. Alone, Shudra education, which Prabhupada described as technical knowledge, leads to a chaotic condition. And we'll just finish the paragraph here. Everyone should be tested to find out which education he is suited for. So this depends on one's natural qualities, guna. Guna will determine one's education will determine one's karma or activity. Some Shudras may be given technical education, but most Shudras should work on the farms. This is another point that Srila Prabhupada nicely makes in the 7th canto of the Bhagavatam, that one of the qualities and activities for Shudras is to actually look after cows. It's not only Vaishyas who look after cows. Actually, everyone is meant to look after cows, but the vast majority of people, being Shudras within any community, the vast majority of people looking after cows actually are Shudras, helping in different ways. But because everyone is coming to the cities to get an education thinking we can get more money, the agriculture is being neglected. So 50 years ago, Srila Prabhupada spoke this. 1976, that's 54 years ago. No, 44 years ago. 1976. So Srila Prabhupada could so clearly understand how agriculture, going way back 50 years ago, was being neglected. Now there is scarcity because no one is engaged in producing nice foodstuffs. All these anomalies have been caused by bad government. It is the duty of the government to see that everyone is engaged according to his natural qualities. Then people will be happy. And how to determine or establish the natural qualities of individuals? that requires the presence of brahmanas. The brahmanas are especially gifted, and they are given that responsibility to actually analyze, determine, and fix up the varna of a young boy at a young age. So we will go to our questions. This is one question I received from Gauranataraj Prabhu. I didn't get a chance to transfer that yet on my list. I will do that later, but I'm just reading it now. Should one be a devotee only to start a farm, or can we have non-devotees and gradually develop? So this is the question in the context of farm communities. The question is it only that devotees can start a farm? Or can someone who is not a devotee also start a farm and then gradually become a devotee? Both are acceptable, and we should actually be encouraging both. Because everyone in life is ultimately meant to be a devotee. There are many who may not be ready to be full-time devotees in our temples, to join our temples. Majority of people are not ready to follow the 4 rules and regulations, not ready to take initiation. But there are more and more people, as we know, and to a large extent, ISKCON, due to its preaching over the years, has definitely been instrumental in creating this favorable situation, a favorable atmosphere. More and more people are taking interest, for example, in Eastern culture, in Eastern philosophy, in yoga, in Eastern lifestyle. And more people are interested in protecting the land, are more conscious about the need to avoid exploiting Mother Nature. There are movements, as we know, eco movements, and there are many communities as well. There are more communities who have, of course, there was a big push for that quite some years back, and there were surveys conducted also as to how many of these communities actually survived, and very few of them, a very low percentage of these, we call in those days communes. People, actually some of our devotees, Prabhupada went to some communes actually, and brought out some devotees from these communes. Communes used to be in the hippie days, where people just wanted to get away from it all, and they would go and stay together in a community. They called communes. Most of these communes never really succeeded because there was no proper leadership, no proper philosophy holding it together. But such people who are attracted to this kind of lifestyle, to these values, they are material, very good material actually, to become devotees and to become part of what we as a society are meant to establish. We are meant to demonstrate. We are meant to show, to highlight, to showcase such ideal communities based on the land, based on cow protection, based on the principles of self-sufficiency, etc. So therefore, we definitely can and should encourage people we come in contact with who may not be devotees, but if they have an interest in living off the land, in getting away from the very complicated and unwholesome urban setting, which is in so many ways falling apart, which is meant to fall apart, because by definition it has been structured and built on unsustainable pillars, on concepts which are not in keeping with the Vedic wisdom. So yes, we should encourage both devotees and we say non-devotees, anyone who has some inclination, we definitely should invite them or encourage them to begin or start their own community. And we can, in this way, cultivate them and slowly, gradually introduce them to the science of Krishna consciousness, the science of devotional service, by good association, by taking Krishna Prasadam, all of the different aspects that are there in Krishna consciousness. Many people will actually gradually become devotees. We will go to our other questions, which we'll just bring up here. So today's session where are we? Is number 27, today being the 25th of April. And in North India, actually today they celebrate Parashuram Jayanti.
Okay.
Yes, and we happen to be in Parashuram Kshetra. So it is significant actually for us. So this is question number 78. And this is from Radha Beauty, Devidasi. We can put our children in a school run by devotees. Okay, very good. But how do we educate them about the importance of land and cows, which we have realized lately? We should have those devotees who will be teaching our children to also understand the importance of land and cows. If anyone is going to be teaching, even if somebody is not going to be teaching, anyone who is a devotee, because actually teaching is the responsibility of brahmanas, first and foremost. But as we read a few minutes ago, all the members of the Varnashrama system, from the Brahmanas down to the Shudras, they are all meant to have or develop various qualities. And these qualities are given especially through training and cultivation of knowledge. So it means that actually all the members of society are meant to know what is the essence of their Vedic culture. All the members of society are meant to know what is the essence of Bhagavad Dharma, which is Bhakti, devotional service to Krishna. And all members of a Varnashrama community are meant to understand what is the essence of Varnashrama Dharma, or material Swadharma, which is intimately, directly connected with land and cows. We have read and we have reminded devotees on a number of occasions how the Brahminical culture is nourished, is supported. Vedic culture or Brahminical culture is supported by cow culture. If no cows, no Brahminical culture. If no Brahminical culture, no salvation, no possibility for people to become Krishna conscious, because Brahmanas will not be able to execute their duties and responsibilities. So there is a straight line, a direct line. Cows, Brahmanas, and Krishna consciousness, in that order. And that is why so much of importance is given to cows. And cows cannot live, cannot subsist without land. So cows and land go hand in hand, isn't it? Therefore, it is a duty and a responsibility of every single devotee to understand how important this is in the Vedic culture. And how it is everyone's business. Actually, it is meant to be our first business. Our first business is to make sure that cows are happy. Our first business is to make sure that cows are protected. If cows are happy, if cows are protected, Krishna will be happy. And Krishna will protect us. Actually, if we protect the cows also will protect us. If we neglect the cows, we will become neglected. It's very practical, very logical, very scientific. We have forgotten this natural relationship. So therefore, if one is fortunate to find devotees who can teach one's children, those devotees, this is the direct instruction given by King Rishabhadev. Guru na sasyat, pita na sasyat. This very nice verse whereby he instructs his 100 sons, headed by Bharat, who became Bharat Maharaj. One should not become a father, one should not become a mother, a teacher, a leader in society, a guru or a king, unless one can deliver one's dependence from the clutches of Maya. And that means an integral part of that is to become connected with the basis of the Vedic culture in terms of how we are meant to live naturally, depending on the land, depending on the cows, depending on the natural resources of nature. So therefore, before parents give their children away, so to speak, to individuals who may be devotees, we should do our utmost to give an opportunity for those devotees to understand and appreciate the value and the importance of cows and lamb, isn't it? So therefore, that means we should be selective in whom we choose as devotees as well. This is a basic instruction given by Srila Rupa Goswami in the Nectar of Devotion and Nectar of Instruction, actually, whereby he advises that one should be choosing one's association amongst devotees. So, in this way, the responsibility of parents is very great, because first and foremost duty and responsibility of a parent is to make sure that my child becomes Krishna conscious. And to become Krishna conscious without knowing or understanding the value and the importance of cows and land is not complete Krishna consciousness, you see. And to a large extent because we are still failing to understand how so fundamental this is. Unfortunately, the vast majority of our devotees don't get it. Simple instruction again and again given by Srila Prabhupada that the best economy, foremost economy, most sustainable economy for householders. I repeat, the best and most sustainable economy for householders is Krishi Gorakshavanijam Vaishya Karma Swabhavajam. Because Vaishyas and Shudras, that is the vast majority of people will be involved in these activities. So keep this in mind to give this particular book speaking about Varnasrama or whatever we are understanding, whatever you are understanding about the importance of cows and land, to make that, we could say, mandatory or compulsory for people to actually give a good education to our children. One, additional question here. This is also from Radhaduti, Devidasi. Should a child have a material goal to be competitive with the rest of the world? No. We should not have material goals. We should not have anything material, and we should not be competitive. We should be Krishna conscious. We should know that simply by nicely following and applying the principles of Dharma, by pleasing Guru and Krishna, this is how we can be happy. We can be competitive within devotional service. That's one thing. But the kind of competition that has resulted due to people developing this material mentality, excuse me, is extremely destructive, is destroying people all over the world. That is the material, that is the mindset actually of materialistic persons. So we should be endeavoring to advance, to make progress, but not within a material context, because everything ultimately depends on Krishna, and also it is not based on our material achievements that we may or may not be successful. Srila Prabhupada gives himself as an example. Srila Prabhupada, materially, as a businessman, failed. Although his business was going quite well for a number of years, and his thought or meditation at that time was that let me serve Krishna in this way. As we know, Krishna had other plans. So therefore, our primary goal should be to please Krishna. And if at all we want to compete, there is competition on the spiritual platform, but that is very different than on the material platform. In the material world, people compete with one another by trying to position themselves higher than others. And they do this by trying to bring others down. This is very dangerous thinking, very dangerous philosophy. The opposite understanding is there in Krishna consciousness. We endeavor to actually put others in higher position and we endeavor to put ourselves in a lower position. And our only goal and satisfaction is actually to please, as we mentioned earlier, Guru and Krishna. And therefore, that is not part of the Vedic system or the Vedic culture, to become materially competitive. It is a norm in modern day society, granted, but so many things that are considered the norm, what is the result? It is completely destructive. So hopefully this throws some light on this question. There's one more question that I will hold on for a little bit later. The next question is from Advait, the son of Champakalata. This is question number 81. Hare Krishna Maharaj, or Glory to Sri Prabhupada. My question is, if a person is of a mixed varna, then what occupation should he choose? We are all under the influence of mixed modes. So can there be anyone who is 100% Brahmana, 100% Kshatriya, 100% Vaishya, or 100% Shudra? This is a very good question, Advait. And in our present day modern, we call modern civilization, due to having built a very artificial way of living, which is very far removed from the Vedic norm, from the Vedic way of living. Therefore, everything has become very mixed. And it is very, very difficult to ascertain, to determine, to know, to understand our own varna, or to know somebody else's varna. So your question is, yes, how to determine one's occupation if one has mixed varna. Generally speaking, it is not uncommon that people, even in the best of conditions, will have some influence in other varnas. When the Vedic culture is more established, then it becomes more clear-cut what varna. And generally, although it is not automatic, but in most cases, whenever someone would be born in a Brahmana family, in all likelihood, by proper training and by proper education, one would become a Brahmana, you see. So because the situation now has changed, therefore one needs to consult with higher authorities. One needs to consult with senior Vaishnavas who can come to know you, know about your activities, know about your character, and then more easily be able to ascertain or determine. Another important factor which we forget in modern day society is that individuals, the more they are able to live in a natural setting, natural environment, then one's varna, one's natural tendency more easily will come out. More easily, we as individuals will be able to understand, and others as well. So that's one good reason why one should spend some time in a more natural environment, visiting some communities and communities of devotees who are very interested and appreciating the whole ideology of Varna and Ashrama. And they can be assisting in helping individuals understand their Varna. So the more a society would be following the Vedic principles, then, which is the second part of your question, then it would be more likely that an individual is closer to being 100% a Brahmana, closer to being 100% Kshatriya, etc. So it is possible to be primarily focused on these particular varnas, which means that one will be influenced by these different laws of nature. This, of course, changes as one becomes a devotee, because by taking up the Krishna consciousness, the more we develop a higher consciousness, that means that we are less under the influence of the modes of material nature, and therefore the whole dynamics, the whole dynamics of Varna takes on a different dimension. Even someone may be naturally inclined to be a Brahmana, if there are activities that normally would be taken up by a Vaishya or a Shudra if they are needed, like in a temple situation, or even in a village situation, in a devotee community, one will take. Just like, for example, in our community that we have in Indonesia, Gita Nagari Baru, means New Gita Nagari, where we have some close to 150 devotees, some 40 plus families, over 70 children going to school. Many of our devotees are graduates, many of them are teachers in surrounding villages. But actually every week, once or twice, they have what they call community seva. They all come together and, they may be a teacher, they may be in Indonesia, everyone who's teaching they call guru. Guru means teacher. Just like here in India also, not so long ago, the children they would call Guruji, teacher, Guruji. So in India that's still there. So regardless of whether one is a member of the Panchayat, because we have local administration, Panchayat, so even the head of the Panchayat or the teacher, they all come out and take a broom and start cleaning the road. So in a devotional setting, we transcend more easily these otherwise, material designations. So in other words, the more one is advanced spiritually, the more one is advanced as a devotee, then the whole question of Varna and Ashram becomes less of a problem. But in the beginning, because it is not so simple, not so easy to be highly elevated in terms of consciousness, therefore it is safer and it is recommended that we follow the various rules and regulations within prescribed varnas. And therefore, only one who knows you, Advaita, who is asking the question, only one who knows you well will be in a better position to actually advise and reveal what is your varna and what kind of education you should be taking, what kind of afterwards occupation you should be taking. So I hope this helps a little bit to understand. And let's see. Okay, I'll take the last question because otherwise I'll get mixed up in my... So Advait, his question was 81. So I'm just going back to 80, which was the last question of the next question actually. From Radhaduti, from Pune. If a family shifts to a village community, from where would the child receive his higher education? Yes. If he becomes Krishna conscious, that is his higher education. That is the best education. Actually, higher education is for those who become, in the Vedic culture, those who actually are meant to be teachers. That means the Brahmanas. They are the ones who receive higher education. In a Krishna conscious setting, of course, this higher education that we call Raja Vidya, Rajaguyam Pavitram Idam Uttamam, Pratyakshavāgamam Dharmyam Susukam Kartamavyayam. This higher education of Krishna consciousness, of devotional service, is open to everyone. We as devotees don't consider a PhD degree as higher education. This is a material consideration. Most people who have a PhD are not properly educated in the Vedic sense, in that they don't know about who they are and what is the primary goal of life. So we have to see things, Shastra Chakshu. We have to see things through the eyes of Shastra. We have to understand the meaning of education. So in the Vedic culture, when we live an agrarian lifestyle, there is a specific education. It's a very involved topic, of course. We touch on it at different times. So the boys will generally receive this higher education in Gurukula, of the Brahminical culture. And ladies will receive another kind of education. Ladies are not expected to receive what we call modern day high education. This is a big topic. This is a big defect in modern day education. So much so that in many universities, the majority of students are actually, who are pursuing, masters and PhD, majority are ladies. This is a very involved subject matter, and the topic of education can only be understood properly if we attentively hear how our acharyas explain what is education. Most people in the world actually have no idea of what is education. And many of our own devotees also have different kinds of mixed understandings as well. Many of our devotee parents are not properly understanding because they are, to a large extent, keeping their children and desiring and wanting and planning for their children to get this modern day education, which is not supported by our Shastra, which is not supported by Srila Prabhupada as well. So therefore, if a village is properly organized, if there are good qualified leaders who will protect the citizen, who will facilitate brahmanas to live and to educate their dependents, then through these brahmanas, one will receive the highest education, and one should be satisfied with that higher education in the Vedic sense. And we should not, it is creating so many complications. Artificially, most of modern day education, we were reading a little while ago, most of modern education is technical education. That is not higher education. That is Shudra education. And when we live in a more simplified way, simplified lifestyle, we don't need all of this modern so-called education. We would have to discuss more in detail on this, but again, one cannot so easily, immediately understand this topic of education unless one first, this is very nice to explain actually, in the Kautilya Arthashastra, when Chanakya Pandit explains about the 4 sciences, the second of those 4 sciences actually is the science of education. The third, the science of politics, and the fourth, the science of economics. But the first of these 4 is called the science of philosophy. And that science of philosophy helps one to determine, or rather determines, how well we will understand education, governance, and agriculture, and cow care, which is the domain of the science of economics. So everything is centered on these very detailed and elaborate sciences that are given by our acharyas in the Shastra. We are not studying Shastra properly, and therefore we are very confused about even simple subject matters in relation to education. Therefore, the importance of reading and hearing more often, more regularly, lectures and reading books from our founder, Acharya Srila Prabhupada, so that we can gain a better understanding. We are at the close of our session here. Once again, thank you all very much for sending in questions. We did receive a few questions today as well. Please be on the lookout, as I mentioned earlier, for more information on the upcoming Varnashram College online. We invite those who have knowledge of certain subjects who would like to become teachers, and the registration for students will begin on the 8th of May, but the registration for teachers is open, and you can avail of that facility and opportunity. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Jai Samasta Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki
Jai.
Jai Nitai Gaura Bhimanande.
Hare Hare Bol. His Holiness Bhakti Swami Maharaj